The world is evolving. But what does that mean for each one of us, for you? Does it mean moving from traditional industries to newer technology-driven ones? Or does it mean using technology to make our industries more efficient and sustainable? Malaysia is the second largest exporter of palm oil in the world. We've got what it takes to be the greatest. We designed RS Cloud, the first ever of its kind. Meet RS Eco Palm with exceptional quality and certified experts. Our services include MSPO and RSPO consultancy and internal audits. With more than hundreds of projects completed across Malaysia, even in the most interior parts of Sabah and Sarawak, with 10 years of experience in consultancy, you're in good hands.
Disruptions impact all industries, especially traditional ones. With COVID-19 affecting the world, being able to keep track of harvests and ensure continuous production has never been so crucial in the palm oil industry. An industry that has been managed in the same manner for the past 2 decades until now. Sawit
Okay, all right. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone that joined us today for our 4th MSPO Coffee Talk Series, where we discuss various aspects of MSPO compliance. My name is Rafika. I will be the moderator for today, and I am truly honored to be accompanied by 2 of my good friends here, Miss Izzati and Mr. Edwell. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? How are you, Izzati, Ed?
Great. We're great.
Awesome.
Ada sikit flu, but everything is okay.
All right, good to know. So thanks, Izzati. Thanks, Edwell, for spending your time with me today. Before we start, I would like to inform that the viewers that throughout this webinar, all of us, myself, Izzati, and Edwell, will be using a mixed language. So kita akan guna bahasa Malaysia dan juga bahasa English untuk memudahkan semua orang, dan kita nak santai-santai je sepanjang webinar ni. Okay. So before I start, let me introduce our guest speaker first. Let's start with Izzati. So Miss Izzati here, she holds a degree in agro-technology and a master degree in agro-technology sociology from University Malaysia Kelantan. She is very well experienced in palm oil industry with 6 years experience. She's been working with all stakeholder in palm oil industry most of the time. And then she is a certified MSPO and RSPO lead auditor. All right, next one, we have Edwell here. Edwell James Gurney is a lead auditor for Eco Certified. He holds a degree in chemical engineering from University Technology Petronas. Same with Izzati. Edwell, very experienced in palm oil industry and also a certified MSPO and RSPO auditor. Okay. So, as per our title today, the 7 key areas that we will discuss are the stakeholders, CSR, land title, trainings, workers' housing, borewell water, and also some topics on peatlands. To all our viewers, if you would like to ask a question, kalau ada nak tanya apa-apa soalan sepanjang webinar kita, dialu-alukan, you can do so by typing your question in the chat box on YouTube. And then we will try to answer all those questions at the end of this webinar. Okay. So let's talk about our first key area, which is on stakeholder engagement with Mr. Edwell. Edwell, ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Hope so.
Hope so. Alright. So soalan berkaitan stakeholders. Apakah kepentingan dan mengapakah perlu diadakan mesyuarat dengan pihak berkepentingan? So I have this one scenario lah. Usually ladang akan tanya consultant macam ni. Saya tak kenal jiran ladang saya dan mereka bukan pekebun. So kenapa saya perlu kenal pasti mereka sebagai pihak berkepentingan saya?
Okay, so since we are now talking about MSPO, I will narrow down the scope of stakeholders into palm oil productions lah, specifically into estates and plantations. Okay, so basically stakeholders ni are individuals or groups of people who can be affected directly or indirectly by our estate operation. And sometimes people who has interest in our operations can also be our stakeholders. For example, NGO. Diorang tak ada direct relationship with the estate. Diorang bukan jiran. Diorang bukan community nearby our estate, but they have interest in our estate operation. So they also can be a stakeholder. And these stakeholders are basically affected in terms of environmentally, socially, economically, and also legally. So why is it important for us to, I mean, for estate to engage and identify their stakeholders? Okay, first kita nak identify kita punya stakeholder sebab kita nak tahu siapa yang might be affected by our operation in the estate. And by identifying them, kita nak dapatkan feedback daripada mereka. How is the impact, whether it is bad or it is good. Contohnya kalau kita punya estate is somewhere around kampung and kita share the same road, and orang kampung ada yang tak puas hati sebab jalan raya banyak lubang. Banyak lubang sebab overweight lorry daripada estate yang bawa FFB hantar pergi kilang is the reason why the road is ada banyak lubang. Jadi bila kita engage dengan kita punya community, dengan stakeholders, at least we get to know the issue. And bila kita engage dengan diorang, kita buat consultation, we can discuss with them how to mitigate the issue. Macam mana kita nak resolve, macam mana kita nak prevent or at least nak reduce the impact of the estate punya operations. In this contoh tadi, macam kita punya lorry from the estate is the one causing the road berlubang-lubang. Alright? Okay. And the second one is actually bila kita engage the stakeholders, it provides us with a channel for two ways punya communication. So in this way, kita boleh communicate relevant information to the community, to the stakeholders, and they also can give feedback to us. And for me, all in all, stakeholder engagement is actually is the medium for us to resolve any existing conflict issue dengan stakeholders, and also the most important part is kita avoid the conflict from repeating. Sebab in MSPO, when we are talking about certification, any conflict with the stakeholder can cause us from sometimes it can cause us the certificate. Boleh menyebabkan kita punya certificate kena suspend. So kita ada konflik dengan kita punya stakeholder.
Alright. Okay. In continuation to that, Edwell. So one of our stakeholders is our communities around the estates, right? So just now you mentioned if kita engage kita punya stakeholders, kita dapat resolve any issues within around the estates lah. But I think in the same time, because if we know our community, we can also contribute to the community.
Yes. So basically bila kita engage dengan community, macam I cakap tadi, when we consult with them, we macam kita hold a meeting with them. Tak kisahlah it's a physical meeting ke, individual engagement ke, it's going to be a two-way communication. So bukan setakat feedback on negative impact, tapi on the good impact from the estate punya operation. And also we can ask the community, especially jiran-jiran yang berdekatan dengan estate, what are the things that we can help them. Macam okay, contohnya macam for example okay, katakan kita ada job vacancies dalam estate. Contoh harvesters ke, kita ada sprayers ke, kita ada apa-apa kekosongan kerja dalam estate. Instead of us hiring immigrant foreign workers, kita buka peluang pekerjaan tu kepada komuniti tempatan. So that is one way of us contributing to the development of the surrounding community lah.
Okay, alright. So yeah, that is a good point that Edwell mentioned just now. So if you know your stakeholders, which is your community, not just you can help to resolve the bad impact that you cause to the community, you can also contribute to them. So the next key area actually is on the CSR, corporate social responsibility, which is contribution to community. And then I would like to ask this question to Izzati. So Izzati, apakah jenis sumbangan yang kita boleh lakukan kepada komuniti kita, dan actually why ladang perlu buat sumbangan kepada komuniti tersebut?
Okay, thank you Rafika for the questions. Actually, some part of my questions answers dah dijawab oleh Ed tadi. But it's okay, I can elaborate more on this. Okay, actually dia not necessarily CSR lah, sebab macam you mention tadi CSR kan. Tapi to this specific criteria, sebenarnya criteria ni is on commitment to contribute to local sustainable development lah. Maksudnya not necessarily CSR, because kita faham growers ni ada banyak size. So the capacity of the growers, the capacity of individual growers tu lain. So mungkin kalau growers tu yang besar, estate dia besar, mungkin dia ada income yang lebih banyak daripada growers yang small scale, you know. So they have the capacity to do CSR macam charity ke apa. Tapi untuk growers yang small scale, CSR is encouraged if you can afford it, but it's okay if you're not. So salah satu jenis sumbangan yang boleh dilakukan oleh growers ni, macam Ed dah mention tadi, if not necessarily we have to spend a lot of money buat CSR activity, tapi we can also do very local base. Maksudnya maybe we can open a job opportunity to the locals instead of to the foreign workers. That can be a contribution to local society juga, because we help the local community to sustain their life. You know, we give them jobs and things like that. That can be one thing. The other thing is kesinambungan from apa yang Ed discussed tadi. When you have identified your stakeholders, you know where are the villages nearby your estate. You know where are the schools, where are the masjid and temples around your area. So this is how you can engage to do contribution lah. Actually, why you have to contribute? Of course, firstly is a part of the standard, right? You have to have the engagement and rapport with local communities for you to know what are the impacts from your operation to the local communities. But other than that, it's just for you to actually get to know people around your area, not just because of the standard, but I think to sustain and maintain your operation that are needed lah, for you to get to know your communities. And then, like I said just now, when you have identified your stakeholders, then maybe you can do program at schools, teach them how to conduct a sustainable life. Maybe because dalam MSPO kita ada macam waste management training, we have environmental training, so you can do a very small scale with the communities, maybe pasal waste management training, you can discuss with the community macam mana to get your area better and healthier, things like that lah. So that are some things that you can do other than CSR. Yes.
So I just want to continue ask one question on this topic. So kalaulah sebagai contoh ladang ataupun kilang tersebut dia tak ada bagi contribution directly to the community tapi dia bagi sumbangan dekat pekerja dia, is that considered as one of the CSR?
Okay. Actually, yes, that is considered as one of the contribution, but the contribution must be on top of what you have to give as employer lah. So maksudnya, if you're an employer and you have employees, so all the in-kind benefits and things like that adalah memang falls under the things that you have to give to your workers, right? Maksudnya macam allowance, performance allowance ke, ataupun dia overtime ke, itu tak dikira sebagai contribution. Itu you have to identify lah apa benda yang contribution on top of what are the things that you have to provide to your workers, or itu memang extra. So this contribution tu ada extra things that you give lah. Maybe you give a supply of food, you bagi beras ke, you bagi their kids punya, you sponsor their kids punya studies ke. That is the other contribution that we can count lah. Tapi just one thing lah, because MSPO ni is all about documentation, if you all know. So whatever that you contribute, whatever that you do, activities ke apa-apa dengan local communities, you have to record. At least you have to have the record of meetings ke, or pictures of the activities ke, attendance list ke, because during the audit this is important lah, we will check on this.
Okay, so alright, thanks Izzati. So that is a very good information that we have received on CSR. To our viewers, I hope that you take notes on the CSR matter, because moving forward, you don't have to feel pressured anymore if the auditor asks you if you've done any CSR or any contribution to your community or not, because all the smallest thing that you do for the community is counted. And then just make sure everything is recorded lah. Your payment voucher, your receipt, your pictures that you took during the contribution. So, kita dah cover dua key areas, stakeholders from Edwell and CSR from Izzati. Now, I would like to move on to the third key area, which is on land title, geran tanah. Okay, Ed, usually right, bila consultant dengan auditor semak dokumen ladang, kita perasan yang geran tanah diorang, it's under syarat-syarat nyata dia under tiada, nil, ataupun tanaman getah dan bukan tanaman kelapa sawit. So, when this thing happen, perlu tak ladang tu tukar syarat-syarat nyata tu kepada pertanian ke or anything?
Okay. Bercakap pasal geran tanah, pasal land titles, memang agak complicated lah, because this one is kalau kita tengok dia punya akta ataupun garis panduan untuk geran tanah pun memang agak complicated. Dia punya panduan pun sangat-sangat panjang. Kalau nak baca memang agak mengelirukan jugalah. Tapi basically saya cerita sikit lah pasal geran tanah dulu. Dalam geran tanah tu, biasanya geran tanah, this one is the latest type of a land title. Dekat atas sekali tu kita tengok kita ada information on where the land is located, daerah mana, negeri mana, daerah mana, mukim mana ataupun pekan mana kan. And dekat bawah tu dia ada a few statement, kategori kegunaan tanah, ada syarat-syarat nyata ataupun syarat nyata, sekatan kepentingan, dan kadang-kadang ada ada land title yang ada stated syarat tetap. Okay, so basically dekat Malaysia di bawah National Land Code, kategori tanah biasanya ada 3. Satu is agricultural, kedua is industrial, and ketiga is for building. So di bawah kategori agricultural, syarat nyata tu kadang-kadang ada mention untuk tanaman getah sahaja, untuk tanaman padi sahaja, for the cultivations of palm oil only, kan? Tapi memang jarang kita akan jumpa land title yang ada syarat-syarat tetap. Okay, and dekat bawah sekali tu dia ada sekatan kepentingan. And biasanya kalau sekatan kepentingan ni dia kita akan tengok dekat situ dia stated tiada. Syarat-syarat nyata biasanya adalah macam untuk tanaman getah ke agricultural ke cultivations of economical crop macam tu. Okay, so saya nak petik satu statement daripada Jabatan Penilaian dan Perkhidmatan Harta. This one is specifically on the change of land use dalam kita punya land title. Dia kata semua pemilik tanah sepatutnya menggunakan tanah berkenaan mengikut kategori kegunaan tanah dan syarat nyata dalam hak milik. Kegagalan berbuat demikian adalah melanggar syarat yang ditetapkan dan pihak berkuasa negeri boleh merampas balik tanah berkenaan. Okay? So tuan tanah yang ingin menggunakan tanahnya untuk kategori selain daripada yang tercatat dalam hak milik perlu mengambil tindakan untuk mengubah kategori kegunaan tersebut. Okey, maksudnya sekarang, let's say geran tanah kita dekat situ syarat-syarat nyata untuk kegunaan tanaman getah sahaja. So kita boleh untuk syarat-syarat nyata, katakan ada syarat nyata ditetapkan dalam geran tanah, kita boleh memohon, we can apply to change the land use lah. Tapi let's say kalau dalam geran tanah ada mention syarat-syarat tetap, kita kena tengok apa syarat tu. And most of the time kalau geran tanah tu ada syarat tetap, kita tak boleh ubah. So biasanya kalau kita tengok kita punya setakat ni yang saya tengok geran-geran tanah growers tak ada yang ada mention syarat-syarat tetap. Biasanya hanya syarat-syarat nyata. So kalau setakat syarat-syarat nyata, kita masih boleh apply untuk ubah. Maksudnya kalau macam kita punya geran sekarang dan existing land title kita ada, dia kata dekat situ tanaman getah. So kita boleh apply dekat Jabatan Tanah untuk ubah kepada tanaman sawit. Itu boleh. Tapi we have to go through the process lah. Kita kena pergi Jabatan Tanah and ask them how is the change process. Alright?
Alright. So
okay.
In relation to this geran tanah topic, right? Okay. Example, ladang tu ada jual tanah dia ataupun dibeli tanah baru. So
kejap. Tadi saya rasa ada satu soalan lagi. Kalau status dia tiada, right? Dalam status dia tiada. Okay. Sebenarnya kebanyakan geran tanah yang status kategori jaraknya nyata sekatan kepentingan tiada tu, basically this land title was issued a long time ago. So basically at that time even the government or Jabatan Tanah dia tak tahu the zoning for that area was unclear. So that's why dia letak tiada. So bila dia punya kategori, dia punya syarat nyata, dia punya sekatan kepentingan tu tiada, kita tak ada sekatan. Maksudnya kita bebas untuk mengusahakan tanah tu atas apa tujuan sahaja. Apa tujuan sekalipun lah. Tapi yang kena projek yang sah lah. So kalau status tanah dalam land title kata tiada, itu unrestricted. Maksudnya kita boleh usahakan untuk apa-apa jenis projek lah.
Okay, so kalau tiada, they don't have to go and change the syarat-syarat. Kalau tanaman getah tapi dia tanam sawit, then
you have to go and change.
Alright. So I hope that clear. So going back to my question just now, I curious kalau lah contohnya ladang tu dijual tanah dia ataupun dia beli tanah baru, perlu tak inform mana-mana pihak MPOB ke?
Okay, this one bergantung. Okay, let's say, okay, saya bagi contoh. Okay, Mr. Abu dia ada satu estate, existing estate lah, dah ada satu estate dia tengah usahakan. And bulan lepas dia beli satu estate baru. Estate ni kita anggap sebagai tanah lah. Okay, so dia beli estate baru. So katakan estate baru ni memang dah bertanam sawit and dah ada MPOB license. So dia boleh retain MPOB license from the previous owner as his own and tak perlu reapply MPOB license yang baru, dia just boleh gunakan je. Maksudnya continue with the license lah. So tak perlu pergi MPOB nak inform ke nak reapply for new MPOB license. But let's say kalau macam dia kata, oh leceh lah, I need to maintain 2 license, I just want satu license saja untuk 2 estate. And dia nak gabungkan 2 estate tu masuk dalam satu license. So bila dia nak gabungkan 2 estate dalam satu license, the total area for both estates dah jadi lebih besar kan. So dia kena pergi dekat MPOB, dia kena inform and kena update the total area registered dalam license lah.
Okay, alright.
And satu lagi, I think it's walaupun kita tak perlu nak, okay, let's say kalau macam kita tak perlu nak apply a new license, tapi I think it's good kalau kita pergi dekat MPOB license, just inform them that the ownership of the estate has changed, dah transfer. Sebab biasanya MPOB pun akan sentiasa contact owner of the plantation ataupun estate. So it's good kalau MPOB ada information baru, siapa owner, siapa yang operate the estate.
Okay, I understand. Alright, just let me recap a bit apa yang Edwell dah explain just now on land title. So, if to all our viewers, when you have time, go and check back your geran tanah and then look at the syarat-syarat nyata. If it's under tiada, then it's okay. You can do anything with the geran tanah. But if it's under different tanaman, for example, tanaman getah or anything, you have to go and then change the land title. And another thing, if you ada beli tanah baru ataupun you nak jual you punya estate, you are advised to go to MPOB and then update your MPOB license. Right, Ed?
Ed, boleh tak tambah satu lagi?
Okay, boleh.
Okay, bila okay, katakan next time, sebab sekarang ni I think everyone has already have a license, right? So bila next time bila kita nak renew kita punya MPOB license, make sure that the area yang kita register dalam MPOB license sama dengan geran tanah untuk estate tu. Sebab kebanyakannya sekarang yang kita register adalah anggaran berapa luas kawasan dalam estate yang kita tanam dengan kelapa sawit. Kita main anggaran je, kita tak bawa actual surveyor untuk buat measurement. How big is the area that is planted with oil palm. So the best way is kita register apa yang stated dalam kita punya land title. Make sure land title kita dengan MPOB license kita sama di punya area.
I hope our viewers will take note on that. To make sure your land title and your punya MPOB license has the same keluasan tanah. If it's 100 hectare and your land title, it's 100 hectare on your MPOB license too.
Yes.
Okay, so right just now kita dah cover stakeholders, CSR and also land title. For the next key area, it's about training. And then I know that Edwell dah cakap banyak.
Okay.
But I still wanted to continue the next key area with Edwell. So Ed, latihan kepada pekerja, what are the training actually yang ladang perlu bagi kepada pekerja, and then what is the frequency? Adakah ia setahun sekali? Alright, so okay. That's
okay. First, untuk training, this one falls under principle 4, criteria number 6 on training and competency. So kita cakap pasal frequency dulu. How many times should the estate management conduct training to their workers? So dalam MSPO nya requirement, dia tak ada specifically mention kena buat setiap tahun. Dia tak kata estate management have to conduct training sekali setahun. Dia tak ada. Tapi dia kata kena ada continuous training program. maksudnya dia kena ada interval of time appropriately planned by the estate management bila nak buat training for their workers. And satu lagi, actually frequency tu depends on the estate management punya training procedure. Maksudnya kalau macam XX plantation training procedure ada stated training will be conducted annually. So maksudnya kita kena follow kita punya procedure and kita kena buat training tu sekali, every year lah, annually. Kita kena ikut prosedur kita sendiri. Tapi for me in this MSPO certification it's best kalau macam okay, initial year kita buat something training that is thorough. Kita buat training yang menyeluruh. Kita buat training secara details to our workers. So in the next year, in the surveillance year, kita just buat sort of like a refresher trainings just to ulang kaji kepada kita punya pekerja. This is the training that we have done in the initial year lah. So at least every year kita ada record of training. Tapi frequency tu it's based on your training procedure lah.
Based on the asset itself lah, they are free to decide the frequency on their own. So the training just now yang you recommended to be done in the
okay. So topic of trainings that we should conduct. First one, first aid training tu, that is something yang kita have to do, must do. First aid training, and there are a few topics on awareness. Contohnya MSPO. Kita nak train kita nak brief kita punya workers what is MSPO, apa requirement MSPO. Itu awareness lah. And other topics macam environmental punya environmental punya issues, social punya issues, macam human rights, women's right, macam sexual and sexual abuse semua tu, itu pun kita kena train. That one is on a social awareness lah. And another important training is the health and safety. This one is macam mana kita bekerja dalam ladang, macam mana bekerja dengan selamat masa kita tengah menombak sawit ke, masa kita tengah loading, semua itulah. Those are the training that has to be conducted by the estate management lah.
Alright, then so just to ask you this question, if lah for example our viewers right now probably ada staff ladang ataupun manager ladang sedang menonton kita punya webinar, can this be considered as one of their training, watching this webinar itself?
Yes, it can be. Okay, for example, contohnya, ada manager dari this estate. So dia join kita punya webinar hari ini. Actually, dia boleh document, dia record. Bukan record this webinar, dia record this attendance, dia buat macam satu report lah, macam a simple report pun okay, just buat a simple report saying that attended this webinar and letaklah apa isu yang kita discuss, and we can put dekat title tu is like MSPO awareness training, something like that, or webinar on MSPO requirement macam tu. So it can be a training for that the specific person lah, tapi not for the whole for the whole group of workers.
Understand. Okay. So to all our asset manager or estate staff, if you are watching this webinar, please stay tuned until the end of this webinar because this can be considered as one of your trainings. Okay. Thanks Ed for your information on training key areas. So just now kita dah cover stakeholders, CSR, land title and training. So let's just, Izzati macam dah bosan dah. So kita move to Izzati. Let's talk about workers housing. Alright, Izzati, for example, right, ladang tu dia provide kediaman kepada bekerja. So, what are the kriteria ataupun perlu tak ladang ni penuhi Akta 446? Iaitu Akta Standard Minimum Perumahan, Penginapan dan Kemudahan Pekerja, if they provide a housing for their workers. You are muted, Izzati.
Okay. Thanks for the questions, Rafika. All right. Okay. These 446 is actually reflected on the standard lah. Specifically on indicator 4.5.11. So this indicator stated in cases where on-site living quarters are provided, these quarters shall be habitable and have basic amenities and facilities in compliance with Workers Minimum Standard Housing Act and Amenities 1990. Any other applicable legislation lah. So it is already stated in the standard that you have to follow 446 punya act lah. So whenever you find a grower that provide on-site living quarters for their workers, so this 446 is applicable. So actually to talk about this 446, it will take another session of webinar, I guess, to explain more what is the 446 standard lah, 446X lah. Tapi today I'm just gonna simplify what are the basic things that you should comply lah. Alright, so in 446 you have a lot of things. Let's say for big growers, for example yang macam established ones, IOI ke, Sandarbi ke, if they have, because their sites are very large scale, so sometimes they have crash in their site. Other than just living quarters, they have crash for the workers to send their kids, right? Or they have like small learning centers, or they have even mosques ataupun temples. So ataupun even clinics pun, even clinic or hospital lah in their site. So all of these facilities, if you have in your estate, you have to comply with 446. So actually growers are very encouraged to learn about all these standards, so that whenever you build one of the facilities, you know whether your facilities are compliant with the standard or not lah. Okay. Tapi in cases of growers yang provide only the living quarters, the basic needs should be the sleeping area lah. If it's a dormitory, you should have a specific size for one worker, for one employee lah. So maksudnya dia ada meter persegi area tu, 3.3 ke 3.36 ke macam tu. I think you can go back and look at the 446 lah. Dia ada specific measurement for your sleeping area. Lepas tu if you have toilets for your workers, how many person can share one toilet, to that extent of guidelines they provide. So it's easy for you to follow. So memang dah very specific, so you know how to build lah all these facilities. And then all the basic amenities like mattress, beds, bantal, selimut, dia cupboard, ataupun orang panggil wardrobe lah kan, yang ada lock tu. So these are the things that very basic that you need to provide to the workers in compliant to 446 lah. Alright, that's and then macam also you have to look at what type of quarters that you provide to your workers. Ada growers yang bagi macam dorms. Satu dorm you can go up to like 9 people, 10 people sometimes, providing it follows the measurement standard lah. And then ada juga yang buat macam rumah, satu rumah 3 bilik and then satu bilik 2 orang. So when you have a different type of houses, different type of house or different type of sleeping area, so you have a different guideline. Tapi benda-benda basic macam your water supply, electric supply, that is no compromise lah, you have to give. And then macam kalau dekat rumah tu ada berapa banyak lampu, ada berapa banyak kipas, whether ada first aid ke tak, whether ada fire extinguisher ke tak, all the basic things need to be provided lah. So all I can say, yes, in order for you to be comply with MSPO standard, 446 is applicable.
Right. So as we are talking about this Akta 446, right, I would just like to inform our viewers that actually few months ago, RA Sikopam has done a webinar addressing this Akta 446 for growers. So if you would like to get more details and more information on this Akta 446, please go check our YouTube channel and look back at the webinar. If I can get my colleague right now, you can put up a link on the chat box for the Akta 446 webinar. All right.
I think you guys do consultation for 446 as well, right?
Yes.
So maybe if any other growers want to be compliant with 446, maybe you can tap into RS lah, free promotion. I do now.
So
So
yeah,
you can ask them to help with the standard lah, how you guys can comply with the 446.
Yep, true. Yeah. Kita RS Ecopam pun memang ada provide consultancy on how to comply with the Act proposing. Okay, so to summarize and recap apa that kita explain just now, if you are providing a house for workers, the house must wajib comply to the minimum standard of Act proposing. Alright. So if you provide a house, the house needs to have a water source too, right? And then sometimes when I go to the ladang, rumah-rumah pekerja tu government tak boleh supply pipe water. So sometimes they are using groundwater and then they using borewell water. So I would like to ask this next key area on borewell water to add well. Alright. So and if the ladang are using groundwater, for example borewell water, what are the criteria that they have to comply with?
Okay. Let's say kalau our estate ada borewell ataupun dalam bahasa Melayu panggil apa? Telaga. Tube well. Kalau dalam estate kita ada tube well and kita tak pernah so actually bila kita ada tube well, kita dah falls under the abstraction act ataupun obstruksi air bawah tanah underground water abstraction act. So bila something yang we do falls under act, that means kita kena follow some guidelines lah. In this case, kita kena apply license from Jabatan Air. Sekarang ni I think setiap negeri dalam Malaysia ni dia ada satu jabatan yang menguruskan pasal specifically on water abstraction, tak kisahlah surface water ataupun underground water. So contohnya kalau macam dekat Selangor, kita ada lembaga urus air Selangor. This one is the jabatan yang mengendalikan apa-apa urusan pasal permohonan lesen abstraksi air bawah tanah lah. And kalau dekat Johor kita ada Jabatan Kawal Selia Air Johor. So bila kita dah ada borewell ataupun tube well kita dah install kat dalam estate, kita kena make sure kita apply. Walaupun dah ada, sepatutnya kita kena apply before kita install, before kita buat. Tapi sebab mungkin sebelum ni kita tak tahu that we have to apply for a license, kita still kena apply walaupun kita dah install. So apa yang kita perlu buat, kita dapatkan borang daripada this jabatan, kita dapatkan borang daripada mereka, and at the same time we have to prepare a few documents lah untuk kelulusan application. So first one is definitely all the documents related to your company. Contoh kalau macam sebab kita estate, kita oil palm estate, kita kena ada kita punya our company registrations, kita punya MPOB license, kita punya geran tanah, kita punya plan map kita punya estate and the exact location of the borewell yang kita dah install. And kita kena ambil water sample from the borewell, kita kena hantar pergi lab, kita kena buat quality analysis lah. And let's say borewell yang kita guna tu, kita supply to our workers quarter for consumption, untuk minum, untuk makan, untuk masak. Kita kena make sure not the lab analysis is based on the required parameters. Bukan sebab dia ada sekarang ni biasanya kita ada dua jenis water sampling analysis. The first one is biasa kita nak tengok sama ada air sungai itu tercemar ke tak tercemar. Tapi bila kita talking about drinking water consumption, dia punya parameter tu lebih banyak. So lebih spesifik dia punya analysis. So kita kena hantar pergi lab, and lagi bagus kalau kita dapat kelulusan dan sokongan daripada Jabatan Kesihatan Negeri. So bila kita dah buat sampling tu, kita pergi dekat Jabatan Kesihatan Negeri, kita minta sokongan dan kelulusan lah bahawasanya air daripada kita punya borewell tu selamat untuk diminum. Alright, so the next benda yang kita perlu sediakan is the tube well punya record. Okay, and the last one is kita punya water table, kita punya groundwater level punya record. At least sekali setahun kita kena buat monitoring, kita kena buat analysis, assessment. Kita nak tengok kita punya water table, kita punya groundwater level. So those are the things that we have to do sebelum kita nak apply, sebelum kita dapat kelulusan daripada jabatan yang berkenaan lah untuk setiap negeri. And satu lagi, let's say kalau macam saya cakap tadi, if the water that we extract from the groundwater, kita supply to our workers' house for consumption, kita perlu juga apply permit from Jabatan Tenaga Kerja, JTK, to inform them that the water that we are supplying to our workers are from this bore well. All right.
So just to summarize apa Edwell mentioned on what are the criteria you have to look for if you are using borewell water in your estate. So first of all, you have to get approval from in the negeri punya jabatan air yang menyedia, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then if the water are being used for consumption, you have to make sure that you send the water for analysis to ensure that the safety of the water, it is suitable or not as a drinking water. And then you also need to get a permit, approval from Jabatan Tenaga Kerja. And lastly, once a year, you have to prepare a record of groundwater levels.
Yes, betul.
Okay. Alright, so just now kita dah cover stakeholder, CSR, land title, training, workers, housing and borewell. The last but not least, the key area that I wanted to discuss on today is peatlands. So let's ask Izzati. I think Izzati is an expert specialized on this topic. So Izzati, jika tanah yang sedia ada di dalam ladang adalah tanah gambut ataupun peatland, dan saya ataupun ladang tu ingin membuat tanaman semula, replanting. So what are the things that they have to look for? What are the criteria before they do replanting on peatlands?
Okay. Thanks for the question, Rafika. Well, I'm not an expert on peat, but I can try. Alright. Okay. The question is kalau you ada tanah gambut and how you want to do replanting, right? So these questions pun reflected on the MSPO punya indicator 4721. Sebab I like to reflect on the indicator so that bila orang go through the standard, people know why do we have to comply and where you have to comply. Okay, so 4721 ni it state that new planting and replanting may be developed and implemented on peatland as per MPOB guidelines on peatland and development of industry best practices. So there is a specific guideline by MPOB on this peat, tapi I can still give some suggestions and what are the important things to look at before you do replanting on peat lah. Actually, peat pun is another big topic if you were to discuss, because on peat actually you have to think about soil preparation. How do you prep your soil before you replant? and what kind of fertilizer, what kind of chemical can go through peat soil, and then your pest management, your water management, things like that are very important. Tapi the most important thing is your water management lah, because as we all know, peat ni is accumulation of purely 100% organic matter, organic material. So it's very fragile. It's a good soil, but it's very fragile because it's also developed in a large water basin kan. So dia tak boleh over drain, dia tak boleh terlalu basah, and dia tak boleh terlalu kering. So a very for you to maintain peat soil ni, a very good, very what we call suitable vegetation needed lah. Maksudnya you have to maintain your ground cover and things like that to keep your peat steady. Okay. So for you to do replanting and new planting on peat soil, I think first of all you need to identify what type of peat that you have on your land in your plantation. Sebab peat ni dia ada classification dia ada whether you have depth, the moderate deep ke, ataupun you ada deep peat ke, ataupun just a shallow peat. So ini peat classification ni you have to do analysis lah, you have to do like soil mapping, identify which area in your plantation is peat soil and how deep is your peat in the plantation lah. And then after you identify all that, you have to look at and you have to focus on your water management. Water management ni is very important lah. Maksudnya you have to maintain water level. Lepas tu you tak boleh, because you have to avoid over drainage and maintain ground cover like I mentioned just now. And then your drain pun you cannot be too near to the pit tau. Maksudnya to the pit soil lah. Because dia boleh buat flooding, dia boleh cepatkan flooding. So you have to maintain water at 50 or 70 cm from the pit surface. So this is all science lah, basically to avoid flooding and over drainage. Okay, so you have to always monitor your water table, your in and out water in the plantation, ataupun and then your drain, how the flow of the water and things like that lah. So you have to measure it and closely monitor it, because kalau you tak monitor betul-betul, flood can easily happen, or it can be too what we call that, too kering lah. So you too dry, your and then dia boleh instill, it's very dangerous. Maybe even kebakaran can happen, you know, if it's too dry. Okay, so when water level rises, okay, bila I don't have pictures to show, but when water level rises to less than 25 cm, so tadi I cakap 50 to 70 cm kan from your pit surface. So bila dia dah naik less than 25 cm tu, you have to prepare a very good drainage. You have to maintain a good drainage lah for your plantation. Tapi bila water level drops pula more than 70, sebab I cakap tadi 50 to 70 kan, from the pit surface you have to prepare water retention. You have to be prepared for water retention lah. So all this is a very complicated lah kalau you nak buat replanting on pit. But you can always refer to agronomists. You can call an agronomist, come visit your plantation, study the land, what is the depth of your pit, the water in water out should be dekat mana, and how is your water management should be in place lah, and where it should be in place lah. So basically I think that's the basic things that you need to look at when you want to replant on peat soil.
You have to look at your peat classification, which is your soil type. I mean, you have to look at the water management, and then most importantly, it's best if you can get a guideline from MPO or also agronomists.
Yes.
So just now we have covered all 7 key areas, and then I think some question has been raised on the chat box. We have time with about 10 more minutes. Let's look at the first question on the Izati. Is it compulsory to have CF? I think CF is certificate fitness, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, sekarang, okay, am I allowed to answer the questions now?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, sekarang diorang panggil CCC, Certificate Completion and Compliance. Previously it was CF lah, Certificate of Fitness. So memang it's compulsory lah. Whenever you actually before you place your workers in the building ataupun the houses that you've built, you kena dapat CCC dulu. So jangan macam you bagi your workers masuk dulu baru nak dapatkan CCC. No, you after the building complete, construction settle, you have to apply. You have to get the CCC first, because of course before you do the building tu, the process tu dah ada dah. You know where to apply, how you can apply for the CCC, sebab the process itself dah implied to it. Tapi make sure you get CCC first before you bring in your workers lah. Because some estates kan, because they just do a very basic one, so bila siap workers terus masuk. No, actually cannot. You have to get the CCC first, then only your workers can come in lah. Yeah, it's compulsory.
Answer the question. It is compulsory to have CCC. The next question, I think this one is for Edwell.
Yes.
May I know if the estate have a bore well, how frequent the water sample needs to be sent for analysis?
Okay, basically kalau kita nak buat lab analysis for drinking water, kita buat at least 6 months, once every 6 months, but recommended setiap 3 bulan kita buat, kita hantar sampling for quality analysis. So I think the standard requirement is at least once every 6 months, tapi recommended kalau kita buat setiap 3 bulan.
So one every 6 months, but recommended every 3 months.
Yes.
Okay, I think most of the question is for you actually. The next question is bore well versus tube well. Can you explain more based on definitions and law requirements?
Okay, if we want to talk about law requirement for this, bore well dengan tube well, memang it's gonna be very lengthy. Tapi the difference between bore well dengan tube well, sebenarnya both bore well dengan tube well dia tak banyak beza. Both are vertical, drilling hole yang kita guna untuk extract air from the underground. The only difference is the use. Okay, bore well kita guna untuk kawasan tanah yang lebih berbatu, and biasanya this bore well ni kita hanya tanam sampai permukaan, the rocky surface of the where the water is available. Okay, and tube well biasanya kita akan guna untuk kawasan yang dia punya tanah tu lebih lembut, and kita akan tanam tube well ni sampai ke dasar telaga air dalam bawah tanah. That is the only difference lah. The other difference is macam jenis casing yang kita guna, jenis basically the casing lah, the differentiate, and where we use the type of soil that we use for installation. That is the difference. And if you are talking about dia punya law requirement, memang agak banyak sebenarnya dia punya requirement. Yang tadi saya mention tu is just a simplified version of the requirement. Contohnya sebelum kita nak install bore well atau tube well, kita actually kena bawa someone from Jabatan Mineral Geoscience untuk verify whether that area yang kita nak letak kita nak install kita punya tube well or bore well tu is suitable or not. And even before kita nak install tu pun kita kena tengok kita punya water level dekat water table dekat that area, whether it's permittable or not. So actually kalau kita nak evaluate, kita nak elaborate more on dia punya law requirement, memang agak complicated. But the basic tadi yang macam saya simplify tu, macam yang saya explain tadi itulah, kita just pergi dekat Jabatan Air, ask for the application form and sediakan whatever documents ataupun whatever apa-apa benda yang diorang minta untuk kelulusan lah.
Alright, understand. I hope that answers the questions for the viewers yang tanya. So we are over 1 hour already. So thank you everyone for joining this MSPO Coffee Talk Series. And we will have more subsequent webinars in the future where we're going to cover other aspects of MSPO compliance. But to notify our viewers, this year, this is the for this webinar, it will be the last webinar for this year. So we will come back next year with more interesting topics for everyone. So stay tuned and do subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can watch more this kind of webinar in the future. So thanks Izzati, thanks Edwell, and thanks to our viewers. Have a good day today. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jessica, for having us.
Mr. Ali is a smallholder who has 53 acres of oil palm plantation in Terengganu. The day-to-day tasks within the oil palm plantation, such as harvesting and transporting of fresh fruit bunches, FFB, are managed by Mr. Lee, a local contractor. To provide Mr. Ali with daily updates, Mr. Lee sends WhatsApp messages on problems faced on site, such as harvesting, pruning, and logistic issues. He sometimes realizes that he misses out some important information during his daily updates to Mr. Ali. Even the pictures shared to Mr. Ali are sometimes blurry and difficult to see. As it is mandatory for smallholders to acquire MSPO certification to sell FFB to mills, Mr. Ali proceeds to compile the records sent by Mr. Lee via WhatsApp to start his MSPO compliance transition. This turns out to be harder than expected, as the records are scattered, with no systemic compilation and missing information, making it even more time-consuming for Mr. Ali. Due to the scope of MSPO certification, Mr. Ali realizes that he is unable to provide all the information required by the certification body, as he has not been able to keep track of the information diligently throughout these past months. One day, he gets a call from an MSPO consultant called RS EcoPalm and agrees to meet the team. RS EcoPalm's team member shows Mr. Ali a new app recently launched, Sawit Plus, to help smallholders track and manage their oil palm estate outputs. The best part? It works without internet connectivity, even in the most interior parts of Malaysia. It's also built with MSPO certification requirements, so all the data is safely stored and ready for annual surveillance audits. While Mr. Lee uses Sawit Plus to update daily activities within the oil palm estate, Mr. Ali can now manage his plantation with ease. With just a single touch, he's able to access all the information he needs at any time. Sawit Plus also makes it easy to compare outputs on a monthly basis and understand key metrics like FFB harvests, fertilizer application, and chemical spraying. Not only that, with adequate guidance from RS EcoPalm, their reliable MSPO consultants, Mr. Ali can use Sawit Plus to store important documentations and ensure all the data is up to date. These MSPO compliance tabs are conveniently separated into 8 distinct tabs within Sawit Plus. Mr. Ali is overjoyed with Sawit Plus